Okay, now I'd like to talk to you about an error analysis. And an error analysis is a model for the study of second language learners' errors. But well, first of all, I want to talk about error analysis. Secondly, I want to talk about the procedures of the error analysis. Thirdly, I want to talk about the second language learners' errors, the source of errors. At last, I want to show you some grids, some captures I have. And last but not least, I want to do an analysis of my errors because this is captures from my written productions from last semester. So let's begin. So an error analysis, as I said, is a model for the study of second language learners' errors, and we make an identification by identifying what is exactly lacking in the learner's competence. The error analysis brings the problem area to the attention of the teachers and suggests a remedial action. Now, the procedures. First, we define the causes. Secondly, we identify the errors that we can find in the causes, classifying the errors, and at last, we explain these errors. Second language learning errors. The first, morphosyntactic error, is based on grammar mistakes, the tense, word order, conjugation, and particles. And we have an example here. Now, phonological error, and phonological error is when talking, obviously, and could be mispronunciations, include subproximental mistakes such as stress, intonation, pauses, and rhythm when talking, as I said. Now, lexical error, and the lexical error is an error that we make commonly. Incorrect vocabulary used. Really common because we have a tendency of using a vocabulary that is not correct in that language. Inserting L110 when the English word in a noun. For example, when my mother tongue is Spanish, and I can't find the word in English, and I use a 10 from my mother tongue. So that's a terrible mistake. Semantic error. Any miscommunication that falls into the first three categories and pertains to the meaning of the utterance. What is the utterance? Well, the utterance, for example, his utterance was clear. That means that someone was talking or was talking clearly. That's the same thing. Pragmatic error. The pragmatic error is an error that some people say that doesn't exist, but it does. Because eventually we can make a pragmatic error, but it involves register and no verbal mistakes. Causes of errors. Interlingual errors. Interlingual errors when we transfer the words from our mother tongue to the second language we are acquiring. For example, here, I am agree. The novel says, hello, agree, nice to meet you, because in Spanish we say, estoy de acuerdo. In English it doesn't exist at all, because we just say, I am agree, or I do agree, and that's it. Intralingual errors. Intralingual errors is when it's caused by second language processing in its sound tense. An example. I am more smarter than you. The teacher says, "No, I'm smarter than you." Because sometimes the students have the tendency of confusing the verbs or verbs expressions or phrasal verbs that obviously don't exist in Spanish or their mother tongues, but we confuse the roles or the tense in that language. Sources of errors. Mother-tongue interference, as I said, overgeneralization. We overgeneralize, that could sound a little bit redundant, but it is. We overgeneralize a role For example, mouse. In plural, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist mouses. It's mice. Ignorance of the role restriction, a rule that we knew, but we ignorance that rule. Incomplete application of roles when we write in the correct manner here, but not here. That's incomplete application of roles. False concept hypothesized when we think that this role or this concept was or is like this, but no, it's not like that because in English, well, as we know in English, the most important thing is to know the context. Now, this is my written introduction from the last semester, and by the way, I am a student um, of about 120 hours of learning processes, and with a B2 level, and I make these errors. Syntactic errors are the errors I make the most. I can find here, and here 5 syntactic errors I made in the last semester. And now I have another here. This syntactic. This is the error I made the most. Really, sometimes morphosyntactic. I have the tendency of omitting the subject in Spanish because it does in Spanish and an interlingual error. Because in Spanish we can say cuán importante es without saying the subject, but in English it's mandatory to say the subject. In how important it is here. Why is in Spanish works, but in English doesn't. Why it is the right manner to say. Now, here, shares the arm. Excuse me, this is a mistake. The arm, the on what? If I don't say the subject that could affect the speech or the meaning of the sentence, shares their own culture. So, I like to do now an analysis is about the syntactic error, and as I said, I have the ruminations here about the syntactic use of subjects, as always. Here, correct use of verbs. Now, here, syntactic. Verbs in infinitive without to, when to put it, and when I have to put the to, and when I don't, that's a problem I have as well here. In infinitive, because sometimes I have a tendency of using the German, and it's not well used. And syntactic here, I move this way. Work on the difference between some verbs in infinitive without to, when to put as well. Here, exercise of connectors. Sometimes I have the tendency of using some connectors that doesn't not a connector doesn't exist now, but it's a connector that is not well used in that part of the paragraph or the essay. But that's an error, or that's a mistake that unfortunately I have worked on it, and I have to say it's a development I achieved. And now, after making my analysis about the syntactic error, as I said, I make the most. I think this is it, and thank you very much, and thank you for watching.